Hello everybody, you're here with Claro Beauty and today is another day of fragrance. I'm very excited to share with you. This is a new fragrance to me. I just heard about it not too long ago and the whole YouTubers were raving about this new fragrance, I guess relatively new fragrance. I never heard of this house. Apparently they're from Spain. So I'm talking about Thameen. That's the fragrance house, and I will be talking today specifically about Peregrina. So I ordered a sample. It's a small little bottle of 2 milliliters. And so Thameen Peregrina, again, my curiosity started because I saw everybody talking so much about this fragrance and being their number one favorite. So that really piqued my interest. And the ones that it was not their favorite fragrance, they mentioned that it was number one within the house of Thameen. So I got very curious and I ordered it. Now let's talk a little bit about the fragrance. First of all, the bottle is blue and I love it. I saw it and I'm like, that's a very beautiful bottle. I don't have it, I only ordered a sample, but the bottle looks very beautiful. The second thing is the name Peregrina, for my understanding, is referencing to a very old, beautiful, expensive pearl in a pear shape, but is supposed to be a pearl. And there was a mention something that it was given to a famous Hollywood star, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that story, but that's what I heard in YouTube. Anyhow, so let's spray a little bit of this. I sprayed it a couple of days ago and I've been kind of sitting with it because it was not a fragrance that I loved at first sight. The first time I smelled it, I was like, of course, my expectation was high. My excitement was high. Whew. I like it more now that I've had it for a while. But my first impulse was not the greatest. I think mainly because I was trying another perfume fragrance that I was so in love with, which was the rose, what was it? Atomic Rose from Initio, which I will be doing a video on. So I was very into that fragrance and it was about rose. And I heard this one had a rose as well. So I immediately wanted to have it as too, and I did. So the first smell, there was such a contrast with what I was feeling within the Atomic Rose that kind of was like, oh, what is this? This is not rose. But now that I've been smelling it for a couple of days, very interesting, very different. And you know, the thing about niche fragrances and the thing about interesting fragrances is that each of them have their unique lane. At least that's what they want to create for themselves, right? I mean, that's why a niche fragrance are so special, because they truly create their presence of their own. And so, of course, I think those two were kind of in a clashy, no me, no me, no me. Anyhow, today the feature is the Peregrina Thameen. So let's go back to it. And I just poured it and I really liked it. Now, what is it that takes a while to understand about this fragrance is that it's very grounding. I immediately, when I put it on, like this morning, I sprayed it and immediately puts me right here, right now, presence. And it gives me this seriousness. I don't know if this seriousness I can share it with older, mature, or just matureness, you know, kind of a wise. I'm not sure yet. But it definitely puts me in a more serious mood. Now, when I first smell it, and I keep going for it, it's true that when you first spray it, you do get the rose. But it's not a rose that keeps lingering. I think it starts transforming the moment you spray it. It's almost like you first get the hint of that rose, but then it starts transforming into something else. And that's where the seriousness comes. So that's why it's interesting, because it's not like you're excited and you continue to be excited. No, it stops you in your tracks. But in that, okay, we're here now. So let me mention the notes because there's a lot of notes and there are a lot of florals, but I wouldn't, if I hadn't known or seen the ingredients, I don't think I would have put it in a floral category. You know, when I speak about floral, especially white floral, I feel opening and spacious. Again, I wouldn't describe this as that. So let me read them to you. So the top notes, and this is from their website, is Rose Damascene. I never had heard of that, Rose Damascene. Lily of the Valley, which I really like that scent. Gardenia, Jasmine, both I love. And then the heart notes, vanilla, caramel, myrrh, lang lang. And then the base notes, white musk, amber, and powder. Not very sure. So let's go back to the smell because again, very interesting fragrance. So now it has come down after the first application and it smells different. I mean, most fragrances do, but this is like, this is not what I smell. And I'm actually looking for, I want to spray it again because that first is a very, I think it grows on you. Because the first time I smelled it, I was like, oh, and then now it's like, oh, can I spray it again? Oh, can I, you know, so there's that getting to know each other sort of curve. So the first thing that hits you to me is that rose, very different than the usual rose that I'm familiar with. But then it has this medicinal taste to it. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, back in the day, I guess fragrances developed a little bit from the laboratory where medicines and syrups and things like that also were involved, sort of thing. So that kind of cough syrup, I mean, I'm sorry to put it together, but there's like Coca-Cola was a medicine to begin with, right? And then, so there's a medicinal part that comes to mind. And I can't place my mind in it. I don't know if it's the myrrh or the lang lang, maybe a combination of the myrrh and the lang lang that gives me that, and then the powder or powder that gives me that kind of thing at the beginning. But then as it starts drying out, I can definitely smell and taste the vanilla and the caramel. And I think through the day, you will continue to smell the vanilla and caramel, which I guess is the one that makes you really like the fragrance. Because most fragrances that are in that caramel, you know, I wouldn't say sweet, because sweet can go to a total different place. But vanilla and caramel, they're sweet, but you know what I'm talking about. They're predominantly there. They're very distinct. So this one, you get that after. I still smell that medicinal part that I told you about at the beginning. And again, I think it probably is the base notes, right? There's a white musk, amber, and powder. So let me tell you what is interesting, because I like amber. I like amber on my fragrances. But I don't know if it's the amber, the white musk, the powder, you know, these things, these qualities. It reminds me of the older world. I mean, when I was young and, you know, my grandmother and her friends, they were all very elegant women. You know, they would meet to drink tea and cookies and socialize. And they were all with the big gold earrings or one of those very fancy sort of buttons. And then they were elegant women from that time, you know, 1950s, 1960s, you know, that kind of sort of elegance. And this fragrance reminds me of that time. And especially when we mention Spain, you know, Spain in that sort of way is very aristocratic in my view. It has that feel to it, obviously old world, but queens and kings. And so this brings me back to that time. And I don't know if it's just me, maybe that's just my own images, but it brings me back to that world of that elegance and aristocratic sort of thing. And I don't know if that's the amber and again, the white musk. So it reminds me of the Chanel 5, not the smell at all, but that kind of vibe and elegance. It also reminded me of, there's this Guerlain very epic perfume that is stand on ages, and he's in that category. I don't remember the name of it, but I will bring it down below. But it's a very famous. There's two fragrances from Guerlain that are like super huge. I can't believe I can't remember now. But and actually, let me see if I can pull it out. Okay, so I remember Guerlain Chalimar. You know that fragrance comes in like little sort of boat. The bottle goes up like that. You know, Guerlain Chalimar or the Chanel's 5, or it's one of those fragrances that go throughout time, but for some people might appear like they smell like older generation, like older people. This reminds me of that. Now, so why has it become a favorite in YouTube for the, you know, my age or youngsters? I wouldn't say youngsters, 30s, but you know what I mean. One of these favorite things, I think, is combining that older age with some rose and white flowers. I mean, we talk about it having lily of the valley, gardenia, jasmine. I mean, very white floral sort of youth. So it's a very interesting combination. Now, again, it brings me to matureness, but it grounds me, but it brings me to this elegance, old-time elegance. I think I mentioned that again. So there you have it. I don't know what else I can tell you. Fragrantica, I'll tell you the main accords that they list. They say it's a white floral, amber, rose, caramel, sweet, vanilla, powdery, floral, balsamic, and musky. So very interesting fragrance. That's what I would leave it. Would I be buying the full bottle? Probably not. This is not necessarily, I'm very happy I got this sample. I'm very happy I have it in my collection because it's 2 millimeters. It's gonna take me a while to go through this baby. I've had it for a week and I enjoy it more every time I wear it. So it is something that it grows on you, and it is something that would definitely give you a signature scent. I think it's very recognizable. I think, for example, if I will make this my signature fragrance, I think people will recognize me when I walk in with this scent. It has that kind of distinction, and that's the whole purpose of niche or special fragrances. Yet, I don't think this, I need a little more, So, different things. But I've heard many people that this is their number one and this is their favorite. So there you have it. If you own it, let me know what you think. If you smell it, let me know what you think. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Claro Beauty. See you next time. Bye.